Welcome to Allen Athletics. I am Jasher Cox, your host, and welcome to the beautiful historic campus of Allen University on this great Sunday morning. Another jam-packed show for you. We've got head coach Teddy Keaton that will join us. Also, two new hires on deck for softball and soccer. We'll tell you more when we come back right here on WACH-FOX. And welcome back into Allen Athletics, sponsored by the Columbia Metropolitan Airport, now joined by Allen University head football coach Teddy Keaton. Coach, a couple of games under your belt now at this point. Now you've got something to coach the kids on. Talk about how this week has gone for you.
Well, we was trying to go back and figure out what was good, what was bad, and we're trying to put some things together. Working on the good stuff, mostly focusing in on things that we can do better as players and coaches. Everything's rolling right. We wanted to roll right now. I thought we did a good job in the game, executed on special teams well. I just really feel like we could have did a better job as coaches on offense to give our players an opportunity to have a chance to score more points.
Talk about how this week works for you after a contest. When do you look at film? How do you evaluate film? Do you bring the guys in and watch it and then point out mistakes along with good things too? What does that week typically look like for you guys?
That process starts right after the game on Saturday night. We usually spend about an hour getting the film prepared and getting ready to go, and then we watch it so we can get a couple quarters in so we can grade the kids out. Then we get up Sunday morning and finish the other 2 quarters, get it broke down. Then by Sunday afternoon, we have players in to start watching the tape with them so we can get first 2 quarters done. And then that afternoon, Monday, we'll start Monday morning, we'll watch the other 2 quarters, and then by Monday afternoon, we're putting in the game plan for our new tape.
So it sounds like a really tight window, and if anything goes left, it kind of disrupts the flow. Is that correct?
No doubt. It's almost like you got to be on time. You got to, if the tape is missing, we didn't get it cut up after the game. I mean, that's a 2-hour process just to get the game film uploaded, cut, ODK'd, and everything else.
Let's talk about a little bit what we've seen on offense. You've been able to move the ball fairly well on offense. Talk about trying to sustain drives now and not have those drives negated by penalties.
Well, that goes back on the individual. Having mental toughness, being able to play through adversity, being able to sustain long drives, those are things that we have to work as an organization to get better as. Coaches got to be able to put players in better positions that, they don't be put in a position that we fail. High percentage plays helps you sustain drives as well. We're taking too many risky shots at times, and that we need to be taking, short dink and dunk plays. Be Charlie check down.
Head football coach Teddy Keaton joined us on Allen Athletics. Coach, you went and got a freshman running back out of the Florida area last year in Bo Harrington. He really got going. Looks like he was a bright spot for you a week ago. Is there a plan to try to get more touches for Harrington? Really came back looking really good, looking better in the second year.
He gained about 15 or 20 pounds in the offseason. He understood what it takes to play Division II football. He did really well in the game. We put our kids on a national stage against a nationally ranked opponent, and they got a chance to be able to see what it looks like. This is a team that won one game away from playing for the D2 National Championship, and our kids responded well. And I think Bo Harrington really was one of the bright spots. He rushed for 70 yards. He had a couple times where he broke out, could have got some more yards if he would have followed his vision. But as a plan in the offense in the future, we need to get him more touches and feed him the ball.
Let's talk about number 3, a freshman, and Armand Harris at wide receiver. I'm sure you like what you're seeing. I definitely like what I've seen so far out of the young guy. Talk about the play that he's been able to bring and what element and what difference he brings to the offense at wide receiver.
Armand's a redshirt freshman who practiced all year long last year, and we saw his potential. He eased into that starting spot really fast. He got out on the field, he executed at a high level. I think he was anxious to play, and he got a chance to play, and he showed us what we've been waiting on from that position. I think he got a bright future ahead of him. He keeps working like he works. He works hard in the weight room. He works hard in the study room. He's extremely intelligent. He has a high IQ for football. He understands ways running. His route running ability is really well. He's going to add value to Jamal Jones, Jaden Horst, and now him. That's a three-headed monster with Bo in there to be able to throw the ball to. I think we got a lot of weapons to get the ball disseminated to.
Got to tune to WACH-FOX 57. Back with more.
I think my images truly portray dynamic women, like being bold, being fearless. Growing up, I did not see what I wanted to be. There was just a lack of Black women, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives. That's how I just started taking pictures. And from there, I figured out that I wanted to be a photographer for women of color. It takes a village to be a Black woman, to live and survive as a Black woman. It takes support. I found my niche and I'm sticking to it.
Each year, the South Carolina Education Lottery raises millions of dollars for scholarships and grants that help students prepare for their dream career, just like Kristen.
Back out at Allen University and Allen University Athletics, I'm Jasher Cox. We're now joined by head women's soccer coach Machi Provost here. Coach, certainly glad to have you along. You've gotten a couple of games under your belt, but relatively new to Columbia and Allen University. Talk about your transition so far.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm grateful for the opportunity and the experience. Coming back to Columbia, South Carolina, this is where I grew up playing soccer for the most part. My boyhood club is here. That's actually the fields that we play at. So it's really cool to come back into the community and make opportunities happen. We practiced at Drew Wellness Center yesterday, and the gentleman at the counter, met him, his name's AJ. He invited me out to come talk to his youth on Saturday practices.
Nice.
So it's really cool that it's a tight-knit community that's willing to support what we're doing here.
Yeah, so you're well aware about Allen University soccer and it being a startup program. So let's go back to the very beginning before you even got on the field. You had an exploratory conversation with me about taking over women's soccer. What were your thoughts when you first got that phone call from me? And you can be honest.
So my first thoughts were, this is much bigger opportunity than where I was first at. So Denmark, South Carolina, Denmark Technical College, I began the men's and women's programs down there. We got success with the women's program, which is what I was glad to see. We were able to get the first school win in history. And then I saw this opportunity come about, and it was everything that I was asking for. So first off, that checked off that box, and then secondly, it's an opportunity at Division II. So with that, the player pool is vast. It's like going from the desert to a metropolitan area. You know what I mean? Because the recruits are hitting me up now versus I have to go find every single one of them, which is a blessing. Because I was traveling, traveling on your own dime is tough, but you learn how to make things work. And so I'm grateful for the experiences that I've been through to help me get on this stage now, because beginning the women's soccer program at Division II level is huge. And I think these young ladies have a lot of fire and passion and can do something big if they're the foundation of this program.
To the viewers that aren't familiar with what comes along in starting up a program, walk us through those steps and explain to them how difficult that is. A lot of people imagine that, hey, I get ladies to come out here and play, we get a schedule and we just play soccer, but it's not that easy.
No, it's not. So first off, coming into a program 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks now, it's when you don't know the faces of the players and things of that nature. it kind of makes the first interaction a little bit tough. It's like as if a wall's up for everybody because everybody's trying to fill everybody out. But once you start giving them the authentic personal side of who you are, and that I'm also pretty close in age to these young ladies. So I'm 25. So I'm able to see what they're going through, able to understand it. I'm on the male side of things, but I can compartmentalize what they're going through, and so I do try to understand that and approach that with care first. But getting into starting the program, man, I mean, from finding the field to making sure we have all the equipment to making sure I have the assistant coaches who can help me out, because that's the biggest blessing I could have had, was being able to have the opportunity to say, hey, could you be my assistant coach? And then you're not going to work for free also. That's something that's huge, because now it's helping me out, and it's also helping the other individuals out who want to get into coaching soccer, but they may not have the stage or the time, and compensating them helps bring that time as well. Starting the program it's fun. I view it as fun because I'm young, I have a lot of energy, and I want to make the most of whatever I get to put my fingerprint on.
Absolutely. And so now we get to the process where you got a couple of games under your belt. What have you observed so far from the young ladies?
So one thing that I really appreciate about all 14 of them is their drive and their fight and their commitment. So, even if, I've been running them or getting their fitness to, where I think is sufficient, I might hear some complaints, but at the same time, they're willing to work. So that's the biggest thing I can ask for. If I can have a team that's willing to work, and they may have something to say to me in a joking manner or a serious manner, either way, but they'll approach it with a professional mindset. So now it just gets down to how do we bring organization to a program that's never had the organization? How do we bring structure? And that'll ultimately bring us success. So tonight against Coker, I'm looking forward to a great ball game, to say the least.
Great. Talk about some of the young ladies who stood out so far, who's giving you some exceptional play, whether it's on the offensive or defensive side of the ball for you guys.
Yeah. So offensively, Akasha Small, she's from Barbados, great recruit. She scored our first goal for the season, where we were, leading the game for the first time in program history, which is huge for us. But she brings a lot of experience. She plays on the Barbados senior national team. So obviously with that being on her resume, that helps us bring in recruits. On the defensive side of the ball, Aaliyah McKeithen, she's come in, she's a transfer from Denmark, South Carolina as well. Denmark Technical College, excuse me. But she has come in, shown her presence. Also, Mia is a standout, fiery center back. So, I appreciate her passion and what she brings to the game too. But we're making things mesh, and with those core players, I think we can create leadership around the entire program. Because I don't look at one or two players as leaders. Everybody needs to be a leader, but within our defensive, midfield, and offensive strings, we'll have leaders helping lead those charges.
Yeah, very well, very well. Coach, tell us where we can find your team, where your games are, where the competition is, so people can come out and see you. Obviously, your events are free of charge, so really no excuse.
Yeah. So y'all can find us online at AU Yellow Jackets. If you go to the top right-hand corner and search for Women's Soccer, you can look at our schedule, our roster, also the coaches as well. If you would like to come see us in person, for sure, exit 68 off of Monticello Road. You can come to Southeastern Freight Lines complex, and that is the South Carolina United FC facility complex where we play at. It's free and open to everybody who wants to come. If there are any youth who would like to be ball girls or ball boys, please reach out. You can reach out to me at oprovost@allenuniversity.edu.
That's Machi Provost, head women's soccer coach for Allen University. Back with more. Allen University, now joined by first-year head softball coach Kayla Robinson. Coach, certainly glad to have you along. Talk about your transition here to Allen University.
Well, first off, I'm glad to be here. The transition has actually been pretty easy for the most part. I'm actually from Columbia, so coming back from being in Tuscaloosa, transitioning back to Columbia, that part has been easy. It's definitely been a challenge coming in as a young first-year coach, but I'm really embracing the fact of being uncomfortable and finding a way to be comfortable within that uncomfortable zone.
Yeah. So, an interesting note here. Our president has ties to Stillman. Our VP of Institutional Advancement has ties to Stillman. Our head football coach and assistant athletic director has ties to Stillman. We found Coach Robinson from Stillman. This is turned into Stillman North, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. So talk about that very first phone call. I gave you a phone call. We had an exploratory conversation about taking over a program. What were your thoughts? Were you even thinking about being a head coach at this point? What were your career goals? And when you received that call, I just want to know those thoughts.
Okay, so funny enough, a year before you gave me that phone call, the head women's basketball coach had reached out to me and asked if I had any recruiting experience and if I was interested in, moving forward in my softball coaching career. And I told her, yeah, and the conversation kind of didn't go anywhere after that. So it was still on my mind, but I didn't really explore the opportunity. So when you called me, it was like, so he does know about me, So I was really surprised, but I was definitely honored that you even considered me for the position. But I will be honest, when we got off the phone, I was terrified. My heart was in my stomach, and I was like, is this really happening right now? Because I'm young, I'm 25. Of course, I definitely dreamed and had a goal of being a head coach, but of course I didn't think it would happen so soon. So I was definitely a little nervous, but I also know that, God wouldn't have put me in this position if he didn't know that I was prepared for it. And I know I have the knowledge and the skills and the tools to get the job done. So it's really just been like a really surreal feeling, but definitely exciting.
Well, it didn't scare me away, especially when I learned that you come from good coaching pedigree. Your father has been a successful coach.
Yes.
Talk about his career path and how you modeled that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I would say I'm definitely a daddy's girl. I have watched him coach literally from the day I could walk until now. He's on the basketball side of things, but he has had an amazing career, and I've had a lot to really learn from him. Some of my coaching philosophy comes from him. Some of my approaches with the girls come from him. He has a state championship under his belt. He has actually won Coach of the Year a couple of times. And he's done a lot of great things within the Lancaster community because he is at Lancaster High School. He's done a lot within the community and the surrounding areas. So really a lot of what I am and who I am as a coach has definitely come from him. So I'm forever grateful that I was able to get that from him.
So not to slight yourself, let's talk about your days and your playing career, a pretty decorated playing career. Came from Claflin. Talk about what those days like. Hadn't been that long ago.
Right.
Talk about those days as a player.
Right. I enjoyed my experience at Claflin. Not everybody gets the opportunity to say that they were able to play at the next level. So we had a lot of success as a team, and I did also have a lot of success individually. In 2017, we actually won the SIAC championship, which of course is the conference that we now compete in. So it's really funny that, it's full circle moment that I was able to be able to coach in this conference. But we won the championship that year. We got a chance to go to Division II regionals up in Pensacola, Florida. And that's a once in a lifetime experience in itself. The very next year, we did not win the conference championship, but I was on the 2018 all-tournament team. And my senior year in 2019, we moved to the CIAA, which was actually a really good move. It was a really competitive conference. And we actually made it to the championship game, but we did not win. We took a tough loss to Winston-Salem State University, but I was given the honor of being second team shortstop for the CIAA. So I definitely pride myself in being a great athlete. I don't always get the chance to really toot my own horn, but it's always nice to be able to let people know, my accomplishments.
We got to get our sports information director, Troy Baranek, to do some research. How many coaches have made all conference and tournament teams in 2 different leagues?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's definitely was a fun ride, and I'm grateful for my experience at Claflin, and I just want to be able to give these girls the same experience that I was able to have.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you here taking over our women's softball program. Let's talk about the young ladies now. It's fall time. It's not uncommon for programs to have fall ball. What have you been able to evaluate in your short stint so far?
So I really have been hitting the ground running with the girls. We actually started practicing the last week of August. So definitely noticed a few developmental things that we need to work on, but that's why I really wanted to take advantage of the fall and the off season so we can get that individual skill development going and things of that nature. But the girls have really bought in for the most part with my coaching style and the culture that I'm really trying to bring here for the program. So they've really bought in. They're working hard. I've seen a lot of improvement since our first day on the field. So I'm super excited to see where they'll be once we're actually in season.
Let's talk about it in the future. You don't have to mention names, but I know recruiting is a big deal for you, and that's the first thing you talked about walking in the building. How's that process going, and what is your philosophy in terms of recruiting?
Actually, it's been going pretty well. I like to tell people that I'm doing my best to put Allen softball on the map. So I've really been going out to different tournaments and really giving girls a lot of information. But my biggest thing when I'm looking for these players, at least right now, is finding somebody that's willing to put in the work and be a part of something that's bigger than themselves. Because right now we're a growing program. I have 15 girls on the roster and 8 of them will be graduating. So I have a really big hole to fill, but I'm really just looking for that player that's willing to be a part of something bigger than themselves, willing to put in the work, and that they have that positive attitude and that, I guess, a way to bounce back from failure and know how to recover. So it seems like a lot that I'm looking for, but I promise you I can see it within one swing of the bat or one defensive play. You already telling me everything I need to know.
Right. So when the calendar year flips and it's time to start the 23 softball campaign, what is it going to take for Allen University to be successful in your mind?
It's definitely going to take the girls continuing to play together as a team and really hold each other accountable. That's a really big thing that I've been preaching to the girls, because if we're not holding each other accountable, then it's just gonna take that one person to be negative and then spread that cancer around the team. Coming in, I know that we're not really a big threat right now per se in the conference, but I want the girls to come in and be able to play these teams, and it's like, now you have to respect us because we're here. Like, this is what we're giving you, so
So year one, last season was year one of the NCAA provisional phase, and it takes 3 years to get through that. What changes now that we're in year two is that you get an opportunity now to compete in the SIAC conference tournament. So it looks like you've got something now to sell to recruits. It's something you put your hands on and say, hey, we're now eligible for conference play within the league.
Yeah.
Talk about that process.
So I'm actually really excited about that, because again, everybody doesn't get the opportunity to even compete at the Division II level or within such a competitive conference. So I've definitely been, selling that to a lot of young ladies, like, we're a newly Division II school, but now we're eligible to play in postseason. So I like to tell them that I have high expectations for myself, and I'm going to have high expectations for them. And this incoming class that will be graduating in May, I've been telling them by your second year, we're going to be competing for a conference championship, period. If not their first, but, I just been trying to really get them to see that, because that's what a lot of athletes really want to do. They want to be able to not only compete, but they want to be able to experience those extra incentives like going to conference tournament, and then of course eventually once we win, we would be able to go to the regionals and things of that nature. But of course I ain't, I'm gonna slow down. I ain't gonna go jump too far ahead of myself, but I've definitely been selling the conference tournament experience to them, and I have a lot of visits starting at the end of this month and throughout October that I'm really excited for. So the future is definitely looking bright for the program.
Now the cat is out of the bag. I heard that you're a decorated basketball player. I haven't seen any footage. I don't know if this is true or not. And you're only 25. With COVID years, you may have a year left. Have you talked to Coach Tolan about helping her out?
I have not, but I just want to say I did win the 2015 state championship with my dad as my coach. So
there you go. Okay, so you're waiting on that club.
So I got a little something.
Yeah. Okay, well, good. This is Kayla Robinson, head women's softball coach here at Allen University. Coach, we certainly appreciate your time for joining us today. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We'll be back with more. Final segment with Allen University Athletics. I am your host, Jasher Cox, and this is brought to you by the Columbia Metropolitan Airport. I want to remind you, got another game on the road. This time, the Allen University Yellow Jackets, they'll face Fort Valley State in Fort Valley, Georgia. The kickoff is set for 2 p.m. That game, by the way, can be seen on ESPN+. My time is up. Thank you for yours.